Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome back for another card video. This card is actually really easy to make and the results are just beautiful. I'm using this flower from the Helping Me Grow set by Stampin' Up! And a couple of my Zig watercolor pens. The background was really quick to make. I just used number 61 from my Gonzai Tombi set. I have some Strathmore 90-pound watercolor paper, and notice that I usually use a big fat brush for backgrounds, but I'm using kind of a smallish flat brush. And the reason why is because I'm trying to make this pretty dry, so I have it kind of streaky looking and I've got these white streaks in between, so it's just kind of a different textured looking background. So I'm really careful not to get too much water, and I'm starting at the bottom because I'm good with the bottom being more solid than the top, since the flowers are going to show on the bottom and my top is going to be kind of open. So you can see that I'm trying to make really long swipes across from bottom to top to make sure that I get a nice even texture and I don't have like choppy stripes or anything like that. So I'm just kind of going here and there, and I'm leaving it pretty dry. And so you're getting kind of that look that you can see the texture of the paper as well. So I'm just going to keep going here. This is real time. And the key here is knowing when to stop. So you should stop right before you think it's time to stop, because it's pretty easy to go too far and cover up those white areas. So I'm going to stop here and let it dry. Somehow my camera turned off, but all I did was stamp this flower stamp onto my watercolor panel with some Versamark ink, and then I sprinkled some white embossing powder on it. And so now I'll just heat it to set it. This thanks sentiment comes in the set, so I'm going to stamp it before I do my coloring, just in case I mess this up and I won't waste all my time. I'm just using some Hero Arts black ink, and I'm just going to stamp that near my flower at the bottom. Now it's time for coloring. I'm using a single blue pen, and I'm also using an aqua painter. This pen has a very fine tip, so it's really easy to do this. What I'm going to do is just draw a single line in different petals. I'm trying to hit most every petal with just a tiny thin line right at the edge of my white embossing powder. And so for now, I'm just going to work in a little section so you could see kind of the technique here. And you know I like to use techniques that are just really repeatable. So I'm just doing the same exact thing on every single one of these flowers. So once I get all my blue laid down on each one of these petals, I'm going to take my aqua painter and I'm just going to swipe it, just kind of back and forth a little bit, but not too much. The goal here is to get multiple shades of blue, and to do that you kind of dip your aqua painter to kind of blend out the solid part that you put down with the marker, and then you can take your aqua painter and paint other areas of the petal, and the blue will be lighter because you have more water. So you can see I'm just quickly kind of going through here, and obviously I'm not really doing much with shading or dimension or trying to figure out what side of the petal to color. I'm just swiping. When I did the swiping with the blue, I was very random about which side I did. It just doesn't really matter. And then now I'm going in here with the water and just spreading it around a little bit to make sure that I get color in every single one of these areas, and also keep the variety of the shades. You want to use minimal brushing, so just a swipe or two on each petal. The more you color it, the more the blue will look the same on each of these petals. Also notice that I'm wiping my brush, my aqua painter, in between each petal to clean it off and start with just water. I don't want any blue when I go into a new petal. I'm going to speed through the rest of this coloring. I kept all the coloring in the video because I think it's kind of fun to see these flowers come to life with the coloring. So it's going to be about 1 minute and 15 seconds or so. So if you want to fast forward, you can, and I will be back then. So that finishes up the blue flower coloring. I think it came out really pretty considering I only had one color there. So I'm moving on to the stems. I'm using light green and I'm just coloring them in. There's nothing special here. I'm not going to add water. I'm just doing a solid coloring of all these stems. And you want to make sure that you color all the way to the top because I think it really has a nice look with the green in between the blue. It looks much more realistic. And that completes the whole entire flower. So I'm going to finish off this sentiment at the bottom. There's a line of dots that comes with this set. And I lined it up with my Misty grid sheet so I could make sure I was putting it on my acrylic block in a straight line. And then I just inked it up with some Hero Arts black ink. And I felt like this kind of connected my sentiment with the flowers. I actually cut this panel down earlier, 1/8 of an inch on all, two sides. And now I'm lining it up. I put some tape runner on the back and I'm lining it in the lower left-hand corner. So it's a little bit different off center. So I just have the black matting at the top and on the side 1/8 of an inch worth. So just something different. And that's the card for today. So I hope you enjoyed that and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.